Hey guys, off the top rope here, off the Mike Sports Network here. We're gonna react a little bit to NXT, not so much a very big time newsworthy. The big show is happening in Madison Square Garden next week. Obviously, you'll have Stephanie McCurr and Julia going head to head, title for title. That'll be great. Moose taking on Oba Femi in a dream match. Tag team titles, not Fraxium going for the TNA World Tag Team titles against the Hardys, which is insane. This was a good episode of NXT. A lot of women's action on this show. You had Kalani Jordan and Jada Parker. You had Sol Ruka pinning Chelsea Green, which someone know. But the big story on this show, and also I have to, get this out of the way. A big injury note: Cora Jade match with Jordan Grace had to be stopped. Apparently, it was her knee. She's had a bunch of knee issues. I hope she's okay. Cora Jade is one of the rising stars in the women's division. It does set up Jordan Grace versus Roxanne Perez, a rematch from Battleground next week in New York City. So that'll be very interesting. So that's really that. The main purpose of this video is not so much to recap NXT. It's to talk about the main event, because it was almost in the last 20 minutes of the show that this was a giant middle finger to AEW again. Because a lot of what NXT has done is boost up stars that were not utilized properly in AEW. Shawn Spears, case in point. Shawn Spears, and you can snicker all you want, and listen, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not really a fan of this character. I was always a fan of Ty Dillinger, but Perfect 10, but that wasn't going to get over. And this is a good heel character that he's got. He built his own faction. So Shawn Spears wins the NXT North American title from Tony D'Angelo tonight. I love Tony D. His run had kind of maxed out a little bit. A lot of people were kind of saying they were surprised. I wasn't, because after the whole attack in the cage where Tony D'Angelo's family was locked away, and the finish of the match played into, I think, what a larger story is going to be told with the D'Angelo family, is that maybe the D'Angelo family is going to start to crumble. We'll see how that plays out. But the Don goes down. Tony D'Angelo, by the way, low-key has had a really nice NXT run. He showed up there in 2021. Here we are in 2025. He's won a Heritage Cup. He's been a tag team champion. He's been an NXT champion. And who knows, maybe he goes and completes the whole thing and gets the NXT title at some point because frankly, I don't know if Tony D'Angelo is going to be a main roster character. He just doesn't feel like it. It feels a little bit too, weird to, but hey, the Mean Street Posse at one point worked on the main roster. So maybe a mobster could actually work there. But this is all about Shawn Spears, because in the right before the match itself, and then also Shawn Spears winning, which, like I said, I expected. But Ricky Saints is now in NXT, and we're trying to figure out his first big program. So Ricky Saints gets his moment on television after his big win last week. He's walking backstage before the main event, runs into Ridge Holland, has a weird moment with him, but then he walks over to Shawn Spears, and, Spears sort of was just talking about, hey, I'm going to win the North American title. And that was where it really clicked to me. And I was like, okay, Shawn Michaels, you sly little devil, literally put two former NXT faces, two of the OGs, really. Like, Shawn Spears was there at the beginning. Ricky got there in 2020. But those two face to face with one another. When I saw that, I was like, first of all, that stamps home my point that I think Shawn Spears is probably beating Tony D'Angelo. And number two, it's like, okay, this is a giant FU again to Tony Khan. It's like, this is what happens when you actually utilize talent and have characters. Because Shawn Spears is over. Like, even if the character's not really resonating with me and it's a little bit supernaturalist to me, it's a take on his chairman role, but it's not really. But Shawn Spears is such a great performer, and he's made this work. I mean, for God's sake, he was in a world title match last year, but now he's the North American champion. Like, Shawn Spears in his first NXT run did nothing. And he was never really anything to write home about on the main roster as when he was Ty Dillinger. So great accomplishment for Shawn Spears. But more importantly, what this creates, I think I know what we're getting at Stand and Deliver, everybody. I think we are getting Ricky Saints versus Shawn Spears for the North American Championship. Some people will be disappointed that Ricky is not immediately going after Obafemi for the NXT title, because I think clearly what is going to happen, Obafemi is going to beat Moose for the NXT title at Madison Square Garden. I can't see a TNA guy winning it as much as I love Moose. I don't see that happening. And then I think we're going to go back to Trick Williams, Obafemi, to main event Stand and Deliver in Las Vegas next month. So I fully expect that to happen. Um, it'll be very, very interesting to see how the whole Ricky Saints versus Shawn Spears, because if that's the first program they're going to go to, seriously, it's like a giant middle finger. Like, look, Ethan Page walked into NXT almost immediately. He's the champion. Ricky Saints is already a big fucking deal, and he's been there a month. Like, it's amazing that a developmental promotion with really it's taking place in a performance center, not in an arena. Only it takes place in an arena like maybe once every 2-3 weeks, and they're still generating so much more buzz and so much more energy. I mean, for God's sake, Matt and Jeff Hardy unceremoniously dumped by WWE years ago under Vince. Then they get unceremoniously dumped by AEW. Here they are. They're going to face maybe the best tag team in the world. They're going to maybe face Fraxium is main roster ready. And I love Axiom and Nathan Frazier, man. Like, those guys rule. So this is going to be like a meeting of the generations type shit. And I would fully expect that this is going to continue because I'll tell you this, if Fraxium wins the TNA tag titles, that would be a shock to me. What I think is going to happen there is that you're just going to set up something crazy where maybe we'll get this back at Stand and Deliver. And who knows, maybe this is the launch of a Hardy Boys potential induction into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. It's going to happen eventually, but it almost seems perfect. But the point here is there's just so much more energy in NXT. And then when you factor in all of these, AEW misfires, or, like Stephanie Vaquer, she could be a double champion by the end of next week's show in Madison Square Garden. And there's a good chance that main events, it should, to be honest with you. The women are really what dominate this show. But now you got Ricky Saints, Shawn Spears, who did nothing really outside of his feud with Cody, and then he was in the Pinnacle, but nobody cared about the Pinnacle outside of MJF. And now Shawn Spears is a champion. Like, it really is amazing when you have a gifted writing team, an ambitious booker like Shawn Michaels, who's willing to take risks, and talented people who were misutilized in another place. That's what NXT has become. And it's just like on a weekly basis, I am amazed, for one, at their ability to develop and, give a platform to female talent. Which is why I thought Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné was expendable, and it keeps getting proven week by week. And then it's also these utilizations of AEW outcasts. Like Ricky Saints, we knew was talented and would be, but Ethan Page just got thrown out the door like a bag of chips. Like, he got thrown out there for nothing. Brian Pillman Jr., Lexis King, same thing. Like, it's so many different people. And then when you walk in, it's right before the main event of this show, where it's Ricky Saints confronting Shawn Spears as he's about to go to the ring. And it's like, that's when the moment hit me. Yeah, is it a little bit petty? Sure. But it's fair game. They picked them up and they're utilizing them better. So, hey, you could give them a 15-second stare down. But to me, that was like, man, as they said in Cincinnati last week, Tony fumbled. He fumbled. Because I'll tell you this, Ricky and Shawn Spears will be a lot of fun. Like, the Shawn Spears character isn't really for everybody, including me, but I'm genuinely happy for him. He's one of the really good dudes in the business. Everybody I've talked to who knows him thinks he's a great worker. He has busted his tail for a long time. The Ty Dillinger thing that he had was just wonderful, but it was more of like, a geek, character, and it was never going to be like taken seriously. So I can understand why he's trying to go down this heel route. And now he's got this group, just a lot of the group members are getting over. Izzy Dame being a big high profile women's talent that's come up and coming through the system. So, yeah, it's like, it was a big moment tonight, the big moment from NXT. But again, what it goes back to is, again, on a week to week basis with some of the same talent that Tony Khan had at his disposal, but his compulsive need to have the best stars and just have everybody else fall down the card. It shows what happens when you have talented people and you don't try to go get every big name person. So, and then on top of it, Stephanie Vaquer just used him for a platform and then immediately went to WWE. So anyway, that's it for this one. We'll have some stuff tomorrow, because AEW Dynamite, the go home show before Revolution, is going to happen. So we'll have some reaction to that. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.